Hello, I'm Lauren, and welcome to Improving the World. I'm an international improviser based in Hong Kong, and I speak to amazing improv women all over the world. Today, I talk to Simone Ellul, a Maltese improviser who splits her time between Brussels and Malta. We are talking about how when you go from book learning something, in this case improv, to doing it live with humans, it really, comes to life, and how your journey starts from there. I hope that you enjoy. Now, you are in Malta, I'm happy to say, because I thoroughly enjoy Malta and have spent some time there. And the chocolate festival, frankly, didn't impress me, but I was happy that it happened. So I have great memories.
To be fair, we're not famous for our chocolate festival. I barely know about.
No. Yeah, and can I tell you, you're missing nothing, but it was a pleasant surprise. So I enjoyed Malta.
Was that summer?
Yeah, probably May, I want to say.
You come to Malta in summer, there's a lot of festivals happening every week. Well, festivals are like village feasts, but every village takes it very seriously. So there's like fireworks and obviously a lot of things to do with the church. So the saint is taken out and there's processions and there's lots of people. And I don't know what they're going to do this year, but anyway, it's a fun time.
I'm coming back now because I love a festival, firstly. And as soon as you said anything to do with food, I'm on board. Like, take my money now. I'm coming. We're talking about getting from page to stage, and something interesting about you, because you have a theater background, you had originally only really known improv in terms of book learning. And then there was a time when you took what you were reading and you first put it on stage and you did it. And I want to know, to start, what was it like, this transition from page to stage?
I remember reading Improv by Keith Johnstone. This is when I was studying for my MFA in staging Shakespeare. I wanted it to be able to have some tools, so to speak, for my rehearsal process, because I was working on a final production and I was directing Othello, and I needed to have something for me to be able to, do games, hot seat characters and stuff like that. And I wanted to know more about improv because I'd done a teeny weeny bit in drama school. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, the teacher didn't have a clue what he was doing. It was fun and I enjoyed it. So I read this book, and half of the time I didn't know what Keith was talking about. I was like, what is this theatre sports he's talking about? How can theatre be a competition? I don't understand this. There were a lot of games or exercises that I took and I used. To me, improv was always a resource that I used in my rehearsals. And then eventually when I went back to Malta, because I was studying in the UK, and I was teaching drama, and I took out my improv book again, and I used a lot of these games in my classes. But still, I didn't realize though how little I knew about improv until fast forward about 8 years. I was living in Brussels, or I was commuting to Brussels from Malta, and I did an improv workshop. First time I did an actual improv workshop with an improv teacher. I was like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Oh my God, that's how it works. And that started to make sense. And at the time when I had read improv, I read Improv for Storytellers and Improv Games, Augusto Boal, all kinds of books. So I had all the theory, I had read everything. But when I came to do it, it was only when I finally did the workshop that I'm like, oh, okay. Or when I saw my first maestro, I was like, this is what theatre sports is. Oh my God.
Was there a moment or something that you saw, or an exercise that clicked it in? Were there any pieces of performing and playing that were aha?
Well, the maestro, I think, I watched and was in, I think. That was like, this is how it works. Okay, so no amount of reading the book would have prepared me for the actual performances and how it worked.
You're doing improv, you're plugging along and you're performing and playing and having a great time. You're a teacher now. At a certain point, you think to yourself, I want to be on the teaching end of this. So how did you know that you were ready? How do you know you're ready to teach anything, frankly? And how did you know that you were ready to teach improv?
I've always wanted to make sure I was ready. And yeah, your question is absolutely valid. How do you know when you're ready? For me, I'm always very cautious. I'm always like, no, not yet, not yet, not yet. But when I started realizing, hold on, I have something I want to impart. I think it came from having one subject I was really passionate about, which for me is grounded improv, based on what you have already in the scene. I'm the kind of improviser who prefers grounded scenes to, I don't know, the aliens appearing suddenly in a scene, which I totally see why some improvisers enjoy it and the audience loves something quirky and fun. But I'm like, but it wasn't necessary. Why don't we use what we already have? So after years of doing improv and years of workshops, performing, I reached a point where I was like, maybe I'm ready. And then I wanted to do a little bit of training. I didn't feel I could just, how to just teach. But again, this is a personal thing. Other people are ready way before me. It took me about 8 years. I went to Calgary and I did the 2-week Loose Moose improv school with the summer school. And they also do a teacher's weekend, a training course for teaching. It was great because they really know their stuff. It also made me realize I still don't know enough because there's still so much I want to learn. So then I started working by myself, working on a workshop I was really passionate about. Use What's There is the name of my workshop. And then I actually applied to the Dramatic Improv Fest because, oh God, the most perfect improv festival for my subjects, really, which is in Chicago every year. And this year they're doing it online, which is really fun. So I applied and I got picked. I was like, wow, oh my God, now I have to put my money where my mouth is. I have to actually do this. But in the meantime, I started also teaching a little bit in Malta because there is a small improv scene in Malta. It's not quite big enough yet. Doing some workshops. I filled in for a teacher here and there, even in Brussels. And then I did this workshop in Chicago. Even just saying it's like, how did this happen? But it was great. And I had really good feedback. Since then, I've done more. And I've been also teaching at a school in Brussels. It's been growing. You asked me, how do you know when you're ready? I think it's when I was there and I was like, I know what I'm doing. I really know what I'm doing. And I know what I'm talking about. Because sometimes my insecurities tell me, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing here. But when I had that feeling of, yes, I know what I'm doing, that's when I knew, yes, this is okay. This is good. I'm in the right place right now.
I was going to ask you, and now I'm going to say it and then potentially retract this. Let's see how it goes. When are you not ready to teach? Because you were talking about how some people were ready earlier than you or are ready earlier than you, and they're sort of playing and they're having a great time and they just decide that they're ready to impart wisdom. And I want to lovingly say to all the humans out on the internet, just because you're having a great time doesn't mean that you're ready to teach, because I think that teachers are people to really be respected, and we give so much time, energy, and please hopefully money to our teachers. There's so much power that comes with teaching and they should be respected. This person also started teaching because there was a gap one day and literally no one was there to run a workshop, and they were looking around the room and I had some of the most experience. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And it went fine, and cut to many years later. I think many of us jump into it because there's a gap or because of something and it's a bit too early. When are you not ready to teach?
To be fair, what you're talking about, filling a gap, I think that's extremely valid. I mean, even the situation in Malta, I wasn't here at the beginning, obviously, but the person who teaches here isn't even Maltese. So she started living here. She'd done some improv in her own country. There was nothing here. So she said, well, I might as well teach it myself, That's great. And she's been doing really good stuff. I think because improv doesn't have some sort of formal structure pedagogically in terms of teacher training, or at least, I don't know if maybe something is being developed now. I don't know. But you kind of wing it. Oh, I've done X amount of workshops, I can teach now. It's very difficult. I think it really depends on the person. I think it really depends on the individual to know, listen, I'm not ready, or yes, I think I am. It's not a matter of, I've done this workshop with X, I can just repeat that same workshop. It's really not a matter of that. It's a matter of making it your own, which is not easy. I mean, I still find it very difficult. Okay, I've got all these exercises, I want to put them together, but I need to make it my own, because otherwise you're just repeating other people's work, and I don't think that's the best way to go about it. When are you not ready? I think it's when you're just copying other people, maybe.
I think that's the crux. When your teaching will have your own stamp of authenticity. When my workshop is a Lauren workshop and not just 2.0 of what someone else did. It has to have my copyright.
I was speaking to Rama Nicholas from Australia. I did her workshop Close to You. It's kind of an intimacy workshop, and it's a subject that I'm very interested in. I'm actually training to become an intimacy director at the moment when we get back to normal and I can go back to the United Kingdom. And I did say, how can I now do a workshop having followed yours that is not a copy of yours? She's a really lovely person and teacher and performer. And she said, find your own way into it. Find what inspires you. The subject is there, but you don't have to tackle it in the same way that I do. And I think that is really helpful, and that's really interesting.
If anyone's interested in more from Rama, you can click here to see the video where I interview Rama.
All right.
Yeah. You're doing improv, you're teaching it. So again, we've come from book to life to now teaching, which I don't know if teaching is sort of like putting it back in the book because now someone's sitting and taking notes at a workshop. So it's kind of going from stage to page. Ooh. I think when one gets really deep into improv, it starts to affect other parts of life. Did you, now that you were in a comfort zone with improv and it was really part of you, have experiences where it helped you through stuff? So it went from, like page to life, and it was a support system or a network for you to be able to manage stuff, the stuff in life.
Actually, improv helped me, not now that I'm comfortable and confident, it helped me when I wasn't. I went through upheaval in my life, and a time where I needed change, where I needed help, I needed support, I really threw myself into improv. Thank God it was there, because I don't know how I would have survived it. Improv gives you a community. There's so many wonderful, wonderful people. And no matter where you are in the world, you're going to find a family. Because if you have nothing else in common, improv brings you together. Yes, I can honestly say improv saved my life at one point, and I'm not being overly dramatic. But I was in a very bad place. Using improv to just forget what was going on in my life really helped.
Yeah. I also have control issues. I love to be the one who gets to hold the remote and stuff like that. I find that when I have things in my life that feel out of control, I need to find something that I can control in a safe kind of way. For me, that manifests in different things. So like baking bread or whatever, right? It's something that I can do, a holistic experience that I can control, or improv, because I can control what I do, what I present, the characters that I do. So it's an outlet for me, and it gives me a space to be creative, but also fully control something. It's just me, but it's something. I feel like for me, the reason why improv helps me through life is because it gives me that sense of ownership. I feel like, yeah, it's the Freud moment of the interview.
Can I just say, for me, it's almost the opposite. Because for me, improv is a moment of letting go control for me. In the sense, when I'm performing, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And it's almost freeing, just walking out on stage and trusting your fellow players and knowing that you're going to work together and you're going to do something. And it might not be the best thing you've ever done, but it might be. Just not knowing, for me, that's the fun of it. I don't want the rigidity so much. Improv does opposite things to different people.
The way that you said it, I'm like, yeah, you're also right. It also does that for me. So maybe I equally feel like I am controlling me and my actions and my choices at the same time, if it is possible, that I am letting go, because it is a true collaboration. So maybe I'm feeling like I can walk that balance, making my choices and managing me, and equally not knowing where it will go. And so that freedom with control. Whoa, I don't know. I need some therapy now. Yeah.
Also, improv is not therapy.
Okay, got that.
I think improv can be a safe space where you can bring out some feelings perhaps that you are suppressing. I'm not saying improv is therapy, but I have had moments on stage where I've been triggered because of something someone said that maybe resonated. Of course, you can get out of that situation. If it's too much, you can get out, absolutely. But also you can go with it and see where it takes you in a safe way. It's a scene. If you want to stop, you can stop. Because a lot of people feel, oh, but I can't stop, if I'm in it. But you can stop. You can also follow it and see. But it's not therapy.
You don't come to unload your baggage. That's not what we're doing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned that you have a real passion for the dramatic side, more serious stuff. How do we do improv and get into the drama and get into the real juicy, deep, hearty stuff without unpacking my uncle just died from cancer?
First of all, I can still be absolutely, totally silly and funny in a scene. I love watching it. I think improv is so broad a spectrum. You can have any kind of performance. That's the wonderful thing about improv. I like the dramatic side, maybe because I come from theater background, maybe because I'm from the Mediterranean. I don't know.
Is the Mediterranean famous for being super dramatic?
We're passionate, we're going to say things, we're going to shout and scream, and that's not what dramatic improv is, please. For me, what dramatic improv is grounded. So it's based on what is there, what is happening. There's a lot of listening, which obviously has to be present in any kind of improv, especially comedic. There's a really great, and I got this from Italy, let's go vertically rather than horizontally. So let's dig deeper into the characters and the situation, and let's not expand. The temptation for some improvisers is, okay, so we've established this in a scene, Now, what else? What else? What else? What else? Whereas we've established this, what if we go deeper? What if we zoom in? What if we see what else there is? And I know there are some wonderful, wonderful improvisers, and I've seen some fantastic performances. Sometimes it's so simple, and it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, dramatic. Sometimes it's just about the relationship between two people, and it's beautiful, and unpacking is just awesome to watch when it happens. And in dramatic, it can be funny. It's just don't look for the funny. At least that's how I see it. And if it's going to be funny, you're going to laugh. You know, human beings laugh. Human beings find humorous situations in anything. I mean, I've had situations like at a funeral. I don't know why my family tend to laugh at funerals, like family funerals. It's awful, but it happens because it's human nature.
Yeah. A really gorgeous friend of mine wrote a play called The Funeral, and it was about her father passing away, and people laughed and cried, and the whole story was about a funeral, and the body got up and danced and mouthed to a song. So this was not improv, but improv was used as a device to create the script. So it was a devised piece of theater, not something that she just sat and wrote. And the audience just said the most phenomenal things because of the fact that for them, seeing something that was a really deep topic, right, down the hole, not and, not yes and, but yes and, for them was something where they could kind of re-experience stuff. So it almost was therapy for the audience in a certain way, and therapy for her writing it. And it did have humor in it because it was just humanity, right? But it was about something really serious.
Yeah. I think humor shouldn't be the final aim. That's probably the difference between dramatic and comedy. If you write for comedy, you're trying to get people to laugh, or if you do comedic improv. Whereas if it's more, let's say, dramatic, I don't like the use of the word dramatic because it honestly makes me think of melodrama. But if it's dramatic, then you're not trying to get people to laugh, but they will. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That play sounds awesome, by the way.
Simone, within the context of page to stage or without, what are your words of wisdom, please, to anyone that you want? It could be the younger version of you, the improv community, people who have never tried improv before and find this video. What are your words of wisdom?
I would say that improv, like I said, it's a wonderful community. People, most of whom have a lot in common because they're in improv. And if you've never tried it, I think you should try it. Even if you don't want to be a performer, just try it. Because certain things you get from improv, you can totally use in your everyday life, even just yes and. But for me, rather than yes and, because yes and has gotten me into sticky situations, oh God, I would actually say it's about listening. It's about really being aware of what is happening around you, really listening to other people and being attentive to other people. And this is totally true in improv, but also in life. So maybe my words of wisdom are really listen to other people and let it affect you. Well, let it affect you is a bit dangerous because it can affect you negatively. Even when we're listening to other people, we're thinking of what I'm going to say next. But if you listen, then you can really be there for others. And that's amazing, both on stage and in life.
Now, if folks are in the general Malta region because of the fact that there's a festival on, obviously, or because they've come because Malta is amazing and they want to take a workshop, hang out and buy you, what's like a super Maltese drink? What would be?
We have a local beer that's very popular, Chisk.
So if people want to buy you a Chist beer.
I don't actually drink beer, but yes, fine.
Sure.
Yes.
They want to drink it in your general presence.
Yes, exactly. I'll have a gin and tonic. Yes,
drink.
We have lots of wine as well.
Yeah, Maltese wine is very nummy. If people want to find you and hang out, take a workshop, watch a show, how can they find you?
Find me on Facebook if you like, and send me a message because I don't accept like random friend requests. Yeah. I also, in terms of performing, rather than Malta, you'd have to come to Brussels because I'm part of the Ghost Sheep. We do perform regularly in Brussels. Ghost Sheep. If you buy us enough drinks, we will tell you the story of how we got our names. Look us up in Brussels.
They perform in English?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And we organize improv jams and workshops and things.
The connector between Brussels, Belgium, and Malta, chocolate, famous for chocolate. I went to both and consumed so much chocolate. The connection right now. You and chocolate, both enjoyable things.
Well, let's face it, I do like chocolate. Although I have to say between Maltese chocolate and Belgian chocolate, I know which one I choose.
Yeah, me too. Maltese. Just kidding.
So we've got other things. Yeah. Chocolate is just not one of them.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you. It was so good to chat with you. All right, everyone. This is Improving the World. I'm Lauren, and there's more where that came from. Bye. So, did you love the video? If you did, please say kind and beautiful things in the comments down below, and you could subscribe if you're feeling sassy and look for more Improving the World. Thanks.